Hey everybody, welcome back to the Beyond the Peloton podcast. I'm Spencer Martin, author of the Beyond the Peloton newsletter. I'm here with Andrew Vontz from the Choose the Hard Way podcast and newsletter and the Lauf professional cycling team ? We'll have to check in on those Laufs. But Andrew, we're at the third week of the Giro d'Italia. We're recording this podcast, just full disclosure, at the worst possible time to record a Giro podcast because we are, let me count it, we're about 63 kilometers into a critical mountain stage. So whatever we're talking about now could be completely different by the time the episode comes out. So just keep that in mind. But we'll keep you updated as it goes on. We also have Unbound Gravel on tomorrow, on Saturday. We'll let Andrew cook on that. But Andrew, do you want to plug anything before we get going?
Spencer, who cares what's happening at the Giro? It's a mud year at Unbound. Yes, that's right. If you have been on Instagram, you have seen that water has fallen from the sky in Kansas, as it sometimes does in late May. This is mixed with the soil, the ferrous soil. It has created what's known as mud. They don't have this in European gravel, Spencer, and that means that people like me on Lauf Seglas with plenty of tire clearance can fly right through. Others will perish. I expect to see many mud-related deaths tomorrow at Unbound. Let's hope not. Hey, everybody.
That would be a very Kansas thing. Like, yeah. And you're like, how is that even possible?
We shouldn't even be joking about it. If you're listening to this podcast, I know that you're a serious hitter, and I started One Real Voice, the strategic podcast consultancy that coaches senior executives, political leaders, and professional athletes to be world-class podcast hosts or guests. You know, listening to podcasts, you think, I could sit down at that mic and rock it. But it's funny, if you haven't put in the work and you don't have the reps of perfect practice, chances are you're not going to be great. I actually was talking to someone yesterday, Spencer, who's a pretty well-known talking head on political TV shows, and they had the self-awareness to reach out to me because they're getting some pretty fantastic opportunities to do things like Bill Maher, Scaramucci's podcast, et cetera. And they said, you know what? I'm just not good at this. So that's what I do. I work with people who are ready to be great. If that's you, you can go to onerealvoice.com. You can DM me at hardwaypod or send me an email, hello@onerealvoice.com. And you know what? If you're not one of these world-class talents stepping to the mic, I bet you know a few. Tell them about me. Send them my way and we'll rock and roll. I only work with a few people at a time, but it might be you. Spencer, how you doing, man? Let's talk mud.
It's great. We could just do this whole thing could be an integrated ad. I'm fascinated by this. We shared a thing on it was from Axios about Steve Madden.
That's right.
It's funny that this is now an advantage. Steve Madden's kind of I think he's like an eccentric broy guy. Like he was tangled up in the Wolf of Wall Street situation, but he basically like went on a podcast and was telling the truth, and then the stock was rocketing because he was an authentic, normal person. It's odd that was not just the recommendation the whole time. Like, hey, just be yourself, and people will recognize that. But that's the world we're living in now, I guess, where you can't just give canned answers, and people have to be sharp on podcasts, and they're not naturally talented at it, like other corporate leaders we know that we will not poke fun at this moment again, because we've already done it.
That's right, Spencer. And when Axios wanted an analysis of how Steve Madden did, who did they reach out to?
You.
That's right. They reached out to me, Andrew Vontz.
Cool.
That's right.
Cool.
Yeah, because they wanted to know what I thought about Steve Madden's performance and whether this was net positive or negative. The reality is, the talking points robots of the past who thrive in short form broadcast contacts, and when people sit down with the reporter from the New York Times, they're headed for the scrapyard. It just doesn't work when you get on a long form conversational podcast. You get past 5 minutes with someone who's a talking points robot, you're going to need to get out your oil can for the Tin Man. Because the tornado is about to hit. Yeah.
They flew into the Axel Springer headquarters to have that conversation. That's how well they're doing. And nobody knows how, but they're freaking crushing it on media. But the Giro d'Italia, let's
talk pro cycling briefly.
Some stuff is happening. Like Isaac del Toro, 21-year-old Mexican, still in the race lead. Can you believe it? He had a bad day, then he had a good day, which is, it sounds like I'm making fun of it. It was super impressive. I don't think he'll be in the race lead at the end of this episode, so I don't want to overextend us just effusing praise on him, but whatever happens, it's been a great Giro for him. The thing I kind of I'm more interested to talk to you about, I'm watching the race right now. Tom Pidcock's getting dropped. And Tom Pidcock came into this Giro with some big expectations. Leader, big money signing for that Q36.5 team. And I feel like we're all being gaslit. Maybe he wanted to go for GC, didn't want to go for GC, depending on the interview you read. Went for GC, also kind of didn't do that well at GC, and then will probably not win any stages. Not a successful Giro. Any thoughts on our Pidcock corner this week, Andrew?
Yeah, it would seem that Tom Pidcock is not having the Giro that he wanted to have, Spencer. As you mentioned, not ranking in the GC. We're also not sure if he wants to be a GC rider, even though I'm going for GC and stage races now. We believe he might be more of a 1 week stage race specialist. We're not really sure, but only on certain terrain.
But remember, he would have won Tirreno if he wanted.
Yeah, would have won Tirreno. Yeah. He'd have the Trident traveling with him right now, which as I would have an assistant that carried the Trident if I won Tirreno for the rest of my career, for perpetuity, just standing off to the side, curbside at Paris cafes. Yeah, I think maybe the silver lining in this cloud Tom Pidcock finds himself riding into here at this Giro is that at least he was not at the UCI Mountain Bike World Cup last weekend where Mathieu van der Poel broke his wrist. So maybe that is the silver linings. Paradoxically, by being in probably one of the most dangerous operational environments you can be in as a professional cyclist, which is the Giro d'Italia in May, he's somehow avoided being in a crash. He's healthy and is going to make it through this intact and be fit, while Mathieu van der Poel is, I suppose, driving around in his Lambo from the Antwerp dealer. I don't know, drifting. What's he going to do?
And that was his second crash of the first lap, if you watched that race. So it was already going off the rails. I mean, I love that he does this, right? That's cool.
I do too.
Whoa, he's in a mountain bike race. Does this kind of show you why top-level road cyclists probably shouldn't be racing mountain bike professionally?
Yeah, this is the clause in the contract for the NFL quarterback that you're not going backcountry skiing this winter.
And it's a really bad injury. I mean, I'm not a doctor, full disclosure, but I think.
Thanks for letting us know, Spencer. I think a lot of listeners have been under the mistaken impression that you are a medical. Yeah.
I go to an appointment a week. I see a doctor all the time. Listen to Beyond the Peloton podcast, but I don't think there's a lot of blood flow to that area, which is going to make healing the bone quite difficult. But you know what? He doesn't give a shit about the tour anyway. So what does Mathieu van der Poel care? He's done 6 races. His season is over. He's got his feet up, ready for next year, ready for the classics next year. I don't think he'll win. I mean, I guess on a serious note, did you watch this race? He looked like a road cyclist. And I know he's like one of the greatest bike handlers at least I've ever seen on a road bike. The guy's unbelievable. But it does show you that even if you're just very naturally talented at handling a bike, maybe being a professional mountain bike rider and doing that all the time does have its advantages, because they looked way more comfortable on the mountain bike.
Watching these UCI cross-country Olympic races, I feel like I'm watching the Whistler Bike Park now. Like, I can't imagine racing on the terrain that they're riding on in these cross-country races. And yeah, Mathieu van der Poel, very proficient bike handler. This is going to be controversial, Spencer, but you know I'm someone who's not afraid to step into the line of fire. I'm wondering if potentially this is a false flag, and this is how Mathieu van der Poel gets out of the risk exposure of having to be the lead out man for Jasper at the tour. And it's maybe a minor sprain or something, and they put a cast on him. They've released some photos to the tabloids. And in fact, he's on Zwift or whatever, preparing for whatever his next target race is.
I think his next target, I'm not making this up, I think it's World Mountain Bike Championships. I think he's done with his road season.
He just wanted to get a feel for the dirt, the terroir, you know?
Did you see this interesting? Well, also, wait, before we move on, we should say who won this race. Christopher Blevins, American.
Yeah.
Rango. Also won the short track. I'm trying to look it up right now. I can't find the information, but Johan Verneel mentioned to me that he's maybe won 4 of the 6 total World Cup available events this year, which is really impressive if that's true. I know that he tends to do well in the American-based ones, North and South. So like they had the one in Brazil. I think he did well, maybe even won that. I know he'd won them in North America, either in Saint Anne or whatever that one is in French Canada, and then the one in West Virginia. But I don't ever recall him winning. I mean, he just dominated this World Cup in Europe. Like that's a big deal for an American mountain biker.
The question that I got this week from a listener is Blevins now the best American cross-country rider of all time? So would we rank him above Ned Overend and Kate Courtney, who would be the 2 other people in the mix in that conversation, I think?
Did Ned win a world championship?
Ned did win a world championship. He won the first ever world championship. I mean, it was a different time.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I mean, Kip would be the person to talk to about this, of course, given his Iron Horse Palmares. I personally would not want to have to compete against Ned Overend today, and I think Ned's in his 60s. Deadly Nedley, the lung they call him.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good. He's in his 60s. He could probably beat most local Cat ones, which is really impressive. Also on Kip Corner this week, he went out to the Iron Horse Bike Classic in Durango, reported back. So apparently John Keller is like a local, I don't quite know how this works financially, but he's just like a local climbing specialist in Boulder. Like he just goes and gets Strava KOMs, and that seems to be a cycling career. But he apparently had an accident last year, descending Flagstaff. Close your ears, Andrew. I know you don't want to hear more about descending accidents, but so he's maybe not as fit as he was in years past. But
he's ramping up. He's ramping up, you would say.
Very good cyclist. I mean, Kip, very good cyclist. I think the 1 and 2 at Iron Horse were 18-year-olds from Durango, which is really impressive. Like I remember when 18-year-olds just didn't show up and win pro Cat 1 races on the reg, but that shows you like something's cooking up in Durango. Like that, there's a lot of talent coming out of there for a small town in the middle of nowhere. Like Chris Blevins. Is it possible Sepp Kuss is not the best cyclist from Durango of his generation? Like it's very possible.
Yeah.
The Vuelta a España.
Yeah. If I interviewed Blevins last year, if you're interested in learning more about him, go look for it in the Choose the Hard Way archives. If you're familiar with Blevins' story, I think one of the aspects of it that will be interesting if you're following World Tour road pro cycling, you're going to have the question, hey, why is Blevins not on the road? He definitely could be making €1 million+ a year, similar to Sepp. Blevins had a BMX accident when he was young, and it resulted in him being deaf in one ear. And I think that on the road, that presents a pretty big challenge.
Yeah, like a big challenge, actually. Well, yeah. I mean, you could probably do it. Are you going to crash a lot? Like Primo's, like the shirt I'm wearing? Oops, the Roglic Giro didn't happen. But also, it's kind of a nice life. Like if you're as good at mountain bike as him, that's not a bad lifestyle. You know, the racing is so much you're not like racing in the road, like these grand tours, it's crushing, right? You're in a different hotel every night versus, you know, if you follow like Kate Courtney on Instagram or like Haley Batten, it's like there's kind of they have like these little bases they set up for the World Cups. Like there's a limited number of World Cups. You're in quite comfortable accommodation. Like that seems like it would be appealing if you had the mountain bike skills to do that. Your races are 90 minutes long. They're not 6 hours long every day.
Yeah, and Blevins, so for people who haven't been following along, he won both short track and the XCO at Nova Mesto, and he has a number of other victories earlier in the season. And he has the current short track world champion on his team as well. So that's been interesting to watch them mixing it up in the short track. So what's your assessment, Spencer? Greatest of all time American Gota in cross country, or like he does have the short track world champion's rainbow stripe and his Palmares. He has not yet won the XCO world championship. And did not have a great ride at the Olympics.
He did get second at Worlds last year, though. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty good.
I would say if we're just real talk, if like we're not recording, yeah, he's the best. But you can't say he's the best because he's not a world champion. Would be my diagnosis.
I'll give you that, the Michael Barbaro.
I mean, even just on the world championships.
Okay.
It's the Giro. We're spending 30 minutes on XCO mountain biking, a sport I barely watch. But like, so what? Kate Courtney won the world championship in 2019. Kate Courtney is now mid pack. Like, has the sport just gotten way better? Like, and then therefore Chris Blevins' accomplishments even more impressive?
Interesting question. Specialized riders do seem to be dominating right now in short track and XCO, and the equipment doesn't make the rider. It is a factor in why some athletes choose to change teams, though.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. If you're familiar with what I'm talking about here, just reflect on that. Spencer, jumping to the Giro, what is Red Bull thinking about Primoz right now?
Well, I mean, you kind of know it. If they're shocked by what's happened, if like people don't know what happened, Primoz Roglic came in heavy favorite, like heavy favorite. Funny enough, the second favorite, Juan Ayuso, also not in the race anymore. Primoz crashed a bunch. I mean, some of it bad luck, some of it like at some point is not bad luck, and then dropped out of the race. He looked slightly, I want to say undercooked, but that's weird to say because he did so well in the time trials. And like, I've never been out of shape and done well in a time trial in my life. So I don't think you could really fake that. Red Bull is probably, I mean, the bigger issue for Red Bull is the team was awful, like awful. I mean, losing Jai Hindley, also terrible. But like Danny Martinez got second at this race last year, seemed to show up just unprepared. And then now they're great in the third week. They got a stage win yesterday with Nico Dent, so that's good. But I mean, Red Bull, like, if they had any illusions about Primoz Roglic challenging for the Tour, I think those are over. And they're probably, I mean, but the thing is, they have this guy, Giulio Pellizzari. They could still win this race, in theory. This guy, Giulio Pellizzari, is 5 minutes back, probably the best climber in the race. We have 2 extremely hard climbing days. Maybe not win, but like podiums within reach for a climber that good, especially with the competition he's up against. Nothing against them, but like Damiano Caruso, Egan Bernal, and Derek G are not. It's not impossible to leapfrog those guys on super hard mountain stages. So Red Bull could still podium this. Still got a stage win. Pretty good recovery, but I think they have to be thinking Primoz. Our days of relying on him are over. He did win the Grand Tour last year at the Vuelta, so that's good. But they're probably looking toward the future. I mean, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have to think so. I don't know what else we can expect here. Maybe he pulls a rabbit out of the hat and gets the Vuelta record, maybe.
Oh, he's winning the Vuelta. Let's be real.
You think?
Somehow, I mean, the guy's so... This is what he does. He crashes out. You're like, oh, I can't believe he crashed out of another Grand Tour. And then he comes up and wins the Vuelta somehow. If he doesn't like run into Fred Wright in a sprint finish for no reason whatsoever, then he might win.
Okay.
But, I mean, he's 35. Like, how at some point you stop winning Grand Tours.
Yeah. The bigger question, of course, is who is going to win the e-bike Giro, and have you dug into this since we last spoke?
No, I was just I was watching the e-Giro yesterday thinking, man, I haven't got any closer. I have no more answers on this. I do think they pay people a lot of money to do it. I don't fully understand the e-Giro. Is it moving units? Is it some sort of money laundering operation?
I don't know. I feel like it's the Shriners at your local parade in Missouri or Kansas. It's kind of the vibe it's got.
Both equally suspicious of drug trafficking. Think about it. No one.
You said it. You said it.
They're coming after me now. but well, I guess I should ask you, but I'm not going to ask you this question yet. I'm going to make people wait to get your pick on who's going to win this thing.
Okay.
But another rider that's got some big questions, Juan Ayuso. So he's 22. So
right.
He's young. The issue, if there's any issue, is he's in his third year professional. So yes, he's young in age, but like you are getting to a point where you start to build habits, like the habit, like the results habits you build at that level of your career kind of determine how you progress. So
Yeah.
the fact that he finished third as a 19-year-old at the Vuelta, it's like, wow, that's amazing. But he's never bettered that in a Grand Tour, and that can start to cause, like, I don't want to, like, underperformance almost. And it's a weird thing because you're physically the same person, if not better, but just cycling's so mental. I kind of wonder about that. But he came into this race, leader of UAE, second favorite to win the overall, wins the first uphill finish, which people have probably forgotten, just looks dominant, and then gets usurped by a 21-year-old teammate who now looks like a superstar in the making. And Juan Ayuso's on a team with Tadej Pogacar, greatest of all time, Isaac del Toro, who is on pace to win a Grand Tour at 21, which is something pretty much only Tadej Pogacar has done in the modern era. And then João Almeida, who's a damn good Grand Tour rider. Like, people forget how good that guy is. So what is Juan Ayuso? Is he like fourth banana? There's also Adam Yates. It's Brandon McNulty. Is he like fourth, fifth, sixth banana on his own team? Like, and then physically, like, what are even his options at this point? Like, he's not going to the Tour. He's not going to the Vuelta. Like, when's the next time he leads a Grand Tour?
Ayuso, to me, like, I think the question you're raising is, do we have a Posh Spice, Ginger Spice level rider? Or are we talking about more of Baby Spice or Scary Spice? One of the, like, some of the more forgettable Spice Girls, but they were on stage. They were part of the crew, right?
I mean, physically, he's who's the one? There's Jerry. Is that Posh Spice? And then
that's the one who's married to the Red Bull. Yeah.
Who has all these, like, allegations of workplace misconduct. And then David,
and of course has, like, lots of horses and an estate. Mandatory.
I don't know if the Spice Girls grew up working class. Like, remember, did you see this Beckham documentary where Victoria, who is one of the good spices,
she's Posh Spice. She's Posh top spice. She's like top shelf, like, spice. Yeah.
David's pressing her, and she, like, was driven to school in a Rolls Royce as a kid. So the name, I guess, Posh Spice is correct. But
okay,
that's we're digressing it.
Everybody's got to get to school.
The upbringing of the Spice Girls, but Juan Ayuso physically, he's a posh. Like, the guy is a superstar. Who podiums at a Grand Tour as a teenager? That's absurd. I just worry, like, even just when's his next opportunity to lead a race? I mean, this is the double-edged sword of UAE. Like, it's getting ridiculous how many good riders they have. Like, it's becoming a problem. Your looks are becoming a problem, to quote who said that? The skateboarder in Cameron Crowe's Almost Famous. I forget his name.
I see. With Ayuso, I think you raise a great point, which is he's wearing golden handcuffs. This guy's not going anywhere. And if he wants that shot, given that when he's had the opportunity, he's getting usurped by Del Toro, who I also might point out is ushering in a new hair epoch in the Peloton. I don't know if you've noticed this. There kind of has been this rise of what I'm going to call chariots of fire hair. So we moved on from proto-fascist haircuts. That's like the Marcel Kittel era. And now we're more into, like, chariots of fire. So it's the privileged gentleman look, like a long thing to comb on top, kind of like shake it out when you get out of the helmet. Wout has also gone in this direction, although he still has that Kelvin Gemstone stripe.
Well, hold on. I'm looking up privileged gentleman. That's exactly what it looks like. When they didn't have, like, the tech wasn't maybe what it should have been in the 20s, where, you know, kind of like the Shelby family in Peaky Blinders. You're like, well, we only have time to shave the sides, and we're just leaving the top. Like that, we don't have time for that. That's kind of what Del Toro looks like. I have a hymns read to do today, so this is good content. We need to workshop the hair of the pro cyclist. But on Del Toro, I mean, earlier in the race, it seemed nuts. Like, think about back to stage 9. Think about how he got this race lead. He attacked his teammate after his teammate crashed and rode away, but, like, no one's going to remember that. But if things fall a different way, if Juan Ayuso is more liked, that's quite controversial, isn't it?
It's controversial. And what's interesting to me about the trajectory here is there not a lot of sympathy for this beasting, which was brutal, right? Like, do you remember when Vaughters had his bee sting and he couldn't take the corticosteroid you typically would take to reduce
Is that
swelling?
true, though? Now that I'm thinking about it, couldn't you just get a TUE because you got a bee sting? Maybe they didn't have TUEs back
He
then.
was on a French team at the time, correct?
He was on AG2R, yeah.
Yeah, they just put a baguette on it.
I mean, maybe back then you couldn't. I feel like now if you
frozen baguette. They didn't even have ice. I don't even think they had freezer
no, there's
technology.
no way they had
Yeah,
ice.
they didn't have ice. They gave him a room temperature Coke after every stage.
I don't know if I said this on the show, but I talked to the old team doctor of AG2R, and he said after a race he was like preparing food for the riders, like snacks, because that's important, like right when you finish a race to eat protein probably. And they're like, yeah, don't do that, because if you do that today, they're going to expect it every day. So we don't want to do it every day. So like, just don't give them food. Like,
yeah.
oh, that's probably why they're not performing that well.
Also, they had their doctor making the snacks.
Well, they couldn't have the budget for a.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They didn't have Alan and Bijou in a Sprinter van following them around cooking rice cakes.
He's also Garmin's doctor at the time. They didn't.
Yeah.
They were stressed. They just had Alan just pretend to be a doctor. Sounds smart.
All I can say is when I'm in Boulder, I want that Rolls Royce Alan Lim motor pace lifestyle. Like, that's all I want to do the next time I'm out there. I don't know what that road is that's out. It's somewhere, it's far from the Flatirons, but it's that long flat stretch. And Alan's in the helmet. It's got the like the whole deal. I want it all.
Where did you see this? Like, who's on whose social media?
Everywhere. Every time I open something, Alan Lim is motor pacing some group of gravel riders that are preparing for something. And then he has something very serious to say about whatever's going on in the preparation. And then they're all eating rice cakes at a stop.
I also feel like Alan used to prepare like the best cyclists in the world, right? Like Floyd, like he was behind like Floyd Landis's wonderful ride to win the Tour in 2006. Lance Armstrong's comeback. That was Alan Lim behind the scenes. But like the treatment's always been the same. But then like the level of rider that comes to Boulder is like going down. So then now like
shots fired.
Well, I mean, here's the reason why is like there used to be A races in the United States. So if you did like Tour of Colorado, you'd come to Boulder to train. Also, like American pros, like Brandon McNulty used to train in Boulder, but now like you have to be in Europe almost. Like Larry Warbus, who was in the break yesterday, said he spends like a year in the US. Like you basically don't come to the United States. So if you're racing at the top level, you're just never going to come to Boulder. It's just not going to be on your radar. So now we have people who don't race in Europe, the gravel level rider, but they're now getting like the Lim red carpet treatment because he's got it. Is that a business? I don't fully understand it. Are they paying for that? Is he volunteering his time? Any info on this?
This is a passion for the man.
He used to do, I remember like Rowan Dennis, like one time was like training out here. Those were weird times, I guess. I guess if you had California and then the late summer races, like you spent quite a bit of time. Like I saw Peter Sagan win a stage in downtown Denver, which now seems impossible to think that any cycling would happen in the US with any, I mean, I'm going to get in trouble, but.
Well, I'll go ahead and step in and just say, like many listeners, I've long had a motor pacing fantasy.
I've long had a retainer for a motor pacer. She lives in my house.
Yeah, that would be great. I don't actually I feel like I have train where I potentially could motor pace. I'm not sure how that would go over with, I don't know, like what happens when a Ram 2500 rolls up on you and you got your scooter driver in front of you. You can't like stay super far right on these roads where I am with no shoulder with a lot of blind turns. I don't know how this works out. And then you get somebody who's taking the PJ up from Manhattan for the day. They're in their blacked out XL Suburban. They're trying to get to a clam bake going 80 miles an hour in a 30, which is what happens constantly all summer. And they don't know, like, hey, human beings live here. This isn't just a place where you go drive around like it's a playground. Next thing you know, you're having a bad day, Spencer. And you know who's going to be having a rough day tomorrow? Some of these folks at Unbound. It's going to be a big paint stick day.
Oh, wait. Before we go to Unbound, who's winning the Giro?
Carapaz.
That's probably correct. I mean, because who? Let's play the process of elimination. Del Toro, 41 seconds. We're talking big mountains coming up. And I mean, Del Toro also built this lead up on not mountains. And now we are in the mountains. I've written about this extensively in my newsletter. If you want to hear more, see more, go there. Link in show notes. But Simon Yates, is Simon Yates going to beat Carapaz? I mean, close your eyes. Can you see that? No, I can't see that. Derek G, he's a little far down, 157, over a minute behind Carapaz. That's a lot for Derek G to make up. Caruso, no. Bernal, no. Pellizzari, probably not. Rubio, no. Adam Yates is almost 8 minutes back. So yeah, process of elimination gets you to Carapaz pretty quickly. I can't believe he's going to do this. Like, that's unbelievable. Like, he was done as a GC rider, and he's come back. Like, Christ. It's crazy.
Contract years bring out the best.
Never underestimate the power of a contract year.
Mods, Carapaz, just take a look around. Yeah.
There is a lot of truth to that. It's, I mean, very motivating, right? The ultimate motivation. You have to fight or starve. So they'll make it work. But man, what team's he going to? Let's say he wins this race, where's he going next year? Richard Cox.
I've already shared this with you privately. I have a strong suspicion Carapaz wins the Giro. He goes to Movistar on a 5-year, very expensive contract and wins a handful of stages. Like, that's it. And he's done. I guarantee that's the trajectory for him.
I actually could absolutely see that. Was he on, hold on a second. He was on Movistar when he won the Giro. Yeah.
Yes.
So at least they got it.
There's a great Netflix documentary about that. It's in Spanish and it's very ethereal. It has like an explosions in the sky soundtrack. Yeah. If you're, that kind of vibe.
Like rocketing through time. You're like never quite sure what part of the year the race is happening. They also did it during COVID, I feel like, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, very art film vibe, likely bombed in the United States. Worth watching. 70. Especially, particularly given that we won't have the thrill of the Heart of the Peloton / Unchained.
We do have over one more year.
And then no more. So you better start storing up your viewing material right now. Get that Tiz Cycling URL fired up.
Please don't. But so Unbound. So Carapaz is going to win. I kind of agree with you. It's crazy. But
yes,
Unbound, big gravel race happening on. I was just reading a gravel event in the UK that I was interested in doing, and it just like kept saying North American style gravel. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, how is American gravel different? But American gravel, apparently at Unbound, the 200-mile gravel race that's happening tomorrow, it's mud. It's like deep mud. And this is, I guess like, I don't know, like a Flint Hills, Eastern Kansas thing. Cause I do remember like a lot of mud, like mud so bad. If you got your car dirty and you went to the car wash, you'd get yelled at for showing up at the car wash. Cause they don't want that mud at the car wash. Like it is pasty, clayey mud that will eat you alive. And
I'm looking,
maybe it could rain tomorrow too.
Yes. I'm talking a lot about the archives today. If you want to know a bit about what it's like to be there during a mud year, go listen to, I have a podcast with at Blake of Today, the internet personality, previously a gravel cyclist who I raced Unbound 100 with twice. And the second time we did it, it was a mud year, and an hour into the race, we were in like a Game of Thrones battle scene running through no bullshit ankle deep mud for a full hour. It was wild. And they might have one of those situations tomorrow. If you want to hear about what that was like, go give that a listen.
Mentally, what are you thinking? Because you don't know if that mud's ever going to end, right?
Yeah, well, you have to keep in mind that this was 2015, so this was pre everyone in the world of cycling being obsessed with what the riding conditions were in Emporia, Kansas. I had done the 100 2 times previously, and there had been some mud. There had never been mud like the mud we were on that day. So something about the route, and it's the case this year as well, when it goes in certain directions, you have more ferrous soil. What does that mean? You're basically riding in wet clay. So if you took hand pottery in high school, as I did at Rockers High School with Connie Graney, fantastic art teacher, a legend, then you know what that's like. It's not very fun to ride in. It weighs a lot. It sticks to your bike. And I have to think that at this point, riders know that this is a possibility. Back then, we had no idea. So we were just riding along. I remember my power file from that year. I was riding, I think my average power for the first hour was 340 watts, which for me was like, that was like 0.95 IF. It was a very, high end.
First hour of a probably 5 or 6 hour race, right?
Yeah. So it's full gas. And then we just hit this mud. And I remember when we hit it, I thought, oh, I do cyclocross. I'm going to be able to ride this. And I saw these people stopped with these bikes with, 20, 30 pounds of clay on them. And then I went flying into it. I became one of those people. And you just don't know when it's going to end. That was the hardest part. And Spencer, you know this better than anybody. That train in Kansas, it's just in the Flint Hills, there are hills. And what do those hills do? It's constant rolling hills. So you would run 3 or 4 minutes to the top of a hill, and then you'd see, oh, this keeps going.
Yeah. And you kind of feel like you're going insane. I had that feeling during when we did Belgium Waffle Ride in Kansas, where you like lose. It's like being in the middle of the ocean. It's like, what am I looking at? Like, there's no perspective because it's just the same rolling hills. So there's it's not like in Colorado, like when you're on that road with Alan Lim and you're suffering on the moto, you can see the flat irons and you have like a visual anchor, but there's no anchors. You're just afloat in a sea of mud in the middle of nowhere. It's demoralizing.
Yeah. I often have no idea where I am unless I have the flat irons as a reference point. So most of life, I'm lost.
That's the daily train. You ride out till you can't see the flat irons anymore. Turn around, ride home. Nice little 200-mile day. You'd be on a train though if you're going to Unbound.
Well, looking at this start list, the name that's jumping out at me this year, speaking of ferrous soil and clay-like mud, Tom Dumoulin.
Oh, get out of here. I can't believe I have a war going on with Tom Dumoulin right now, but he's not going to win, dude. The guy's so checked out. He's showing up for some check. Tom, delete this. Don't listen to this show. He's showing up for a check. He's not. Don't get your hopes up.
Oh, I know he's not winning. I just think it's interesting that Tom is there. And again, to go back to my archives, Spencer, if you listen to my first interview with Blake of Today or a conversation about the 2014 Unbound, I had an unanticipated roadside stop, an homage of sorts to Tom Dumoulin.
Homage.
Yeah, that along with a poorly timed train that stopped us for 5 or 6 minutes, an homage to Tom Boonen, Paris-Roubaix, we ended up losing the race by probably that margin.
Oh.
Anyhow, yeah. The best strategy is to not have to go to the bathroom and not get stopped by a train. So looking at this start list.
It is funny that Tom Dumoulin left pro cycling because it's like too hard, too dehumanizing. And then he's right. Do like the worst race you could ever do. The most dehumanizing event in cycling.
Yeah, I am looking for, I'm still not healthy. I'm in week 6 of this neck injury. Unfortunately, not able to get out on the bike. I am looking forward to it. Thank you for all of your thoughtful notes. I did get several edible arrangements. I would like less cantaloupe in case you're thinking about sending me one. In future years, I am looking forward to us deploying this world tour team style, definitely involving, let's take this back to Kip. Kip will, climbing specialist, we'll get him out there for one of these flatter rolling races. We'll put him at the front, maybe a few Groove Subaru powerhouses along with Spencer, some Midwest crit big boys, wide delts, block the wind, probably 6 foot to 6'2", around 200 pounds.
You know have you seen this guy, dude? Oh my, he's like literally could play NFL linebacker.
Yeah.
Just between, I don't know, let's say years 2016 to 2020, just dominating the Midwest crit scene. I just saw him randomly in Hawaii. The guy's still yoked to the gills. Like, get that guy in the front. If you've raced against Lee Bumgarner, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm talking like 2,000 max watts in a sprint. This guy was unbelievable. Still is.
Yeah, maybe we get Marty Notstein. We get a crew of hitters, and then we pull.
Too busy. I think he's also like in a lot of legal trouble for not things.
All right, maybe he's not part of this dream team. Anyhow, we get this crew together. We're pulling up at the 25-mile fun ride, and we are destroying this event. We're going to have a designated leader, maybe two. The road will decide. You never know if you're going to have a mechanical. That's the strategy for next year. Looking at the roster, which I don't think, okay, this isn't even the full roster. What this is it's titled, this is pretty hilarious, Spencer. It's titled Well-Known Former Cyclists Participating in Unbound Gravel 2025. Unfortunately, this does have a number of current top-level active professional gravel cyclists for whom this is a career. They're in this list of well-known former cyclists on this website, IDL Pro Cycling. I'm not familiar with this one. But we've got Tom Dumoulin, Tim DeClercq, Greg Van Avermaet, Nicky Terpstra, Ivar Slick, previous winner, controversial aero bars, finishing pin incident. I don't know if we want to get into that. It's potentially dirty victory due to some issues that are in the pen. He did win. And who else have we got? We got Ian Boswell. Ian Boswell, I saw that he's going to join the 1,000-mile club this year. I don't know, maybe they give you, it's like going to Burgoyne. They give you a Tupperware full of Emporium mud if you get to it. Join the 1,000-mile club, you know?
You probably get like $7 million. It's like, I feel like gravel racing's like gotten out of control. Like, there's probably a massive financial windfall for that.
Yeah,
I would also say like Hungry Dog runs fastest. Like these guys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's not a
fat cats of gravel right here.
No, all of these are riding I'm just here for the vibes, but I'm training 30 hours a week type of approach. Who's going to actually win? Dr. Scott Fry, friend of Beyond the Peloton and Choose the Hard Way, he called out someone was not aware of, but he said Mathieu de Marchi is.
I don't know this person's name, but I love this. The sound of their name, I'd say, yeah, go for it. Like,
yeah,
that sounds like a good rider.
I don't know who this person is. Which just shows my ignorance. I think that they're a former high-level pro cyclist, given that they're on this list.
That's seriously like Mads Ward Schmidt, like someone like that, a guy who was just racing World Tour.
Yeah.
And then is in his first year gravel. Like those engines are cooking. Like Roman Sinkeldam won Gravel Locos.
Yeah.
And he was on Alpecin last year. So
yeah, exactly.
That's the type of guy I think that's going to win.
All right. So Mattia de Marchi, former Italian pro cyclist. And why did Scott think that this person is going to win? All right.
He saw something in the pedal stroke.
Yeah, I don't know. Scott, we're gonna have to have a side chat about this. I'm not so sure. If
this guy wins, Scott is gonna look like the oracle of.
Yeah, I mean, I had this in my notes, but I'm looking at. So what Scott called out is that this guy did the double Traca. So he did whatever the longest Traca race was on one day, and then he did another Traca race the following day. So right? So maybe did the 500 and the 100?
Well, he did the 360.
Right.
And then he does the next day, he does the 200.
Right.
That's messed up, man.
I mean, we had Dylan Johnson on last week. I think he'd say that's a rest week.
Yeah, it's a cute recovery week you had there.
Yeah.
Mateo. But I mean, in all seriousness, I think gravel, I'm excited because I think this is the year we will be unable to turn away from the fact that Euros are eating gravel, that it's going to be the Euro show up there. I mean, is Lachlan doing it again or no? Do we know?
Yeah, Lachlan. Okay, so Lachlan is a dream. He's playing the Dream Crusher this year. So as we've seen, what tends to happen is people leave the world tour or whatever the hardest version of the sport was. They go to gravel, then they go to longer and longer distances because those typically, until now, were less competitive. So last year or 2 years ago, for example, Vegan Cyclist was trying to win Unbound XL, and I think actually had a shot at doing it, made a year of content about it, didn't end up doing it. Those days are over. So now we've got Lachlan is going for the XL this year. Lachlan has entered. I would say Lachlan is going to win that.
Yeah.
Is the most likely scenario. Going back to Mathieu, so now we have a bit of background. I think he has won Traca multiple times. Man, I really need to fact check myself here. And
so here's a crazy.
Oh, okay, he is the 3-time Traca 360 champion, and he says, "I'm used to racing on dry European gravel." So the gravel, yeah, not that American style gravel. Yeah.
Guess how many Americans finished in the top 10 at Gravel Locos, which is considered the prime warm-up event for Unbound? A single one.
What do you think?
What was that?
What's your take?
Well, they're just not as good. But so interesting. Alexander Miller, Bermuda, got second. I didn't know Bermuda was pumping out tour level talents. Interesting. 11th at the National Championships road race. What? Who's in this race? We should do this. He got last in the Bermudian National Championships road race. We're going to look into Bermudian citizenship by the next episode and then try to get to that road race for content. But yeah, I mean, Andrew, how many top level American mountain bikers are there? Cross country mountain bikers are there? It's not that many, it's just, there's just more cyclists in Europe. It's a more cycling based culture, I think.
Let the road decide.
Let the road. I heard that. I was up at 4:30 this morning watching the beginning of the Giro stage. I heard one of the commentators say, "The road will decide." It's like, well, thank you for that fantastic insight. That's what I tune in for.
Yeah.
And risk waking my family up for. But we are on the penultimate climb of the Giro, so I'm going to have to run so I can then report back on this.
I need you to pick a winner here. I see that George Cash from Golden, Colorado, 28 years old, is in the elite field. Matthew Holmes from the United Kingdom, 31. And of course, Colton Hartrich from Jupiter, Florida. If you had to pick a winner, which you do, who are you going for? Is it a Keegan year? Is it an Alexei Vermeulen year? He seems to have a hot hand.
I'm going Mads Wertz Schmidt.
Okay.
Try to do a second pick, Roman Sinkeldam.
All right. I'm going to go with Torbjorn Ruud. And
he's good. He's good.
Yeah. I think Peter Vakoc could pull this off. He's due. Well, I guess Keegan will show us. Is it possible to have sustained success at a race like this? That's my big question. Or does it just chew you up? I mean, like, how many we've had repeat winners, but oh God, I have the wrong Peter. Oh no. I'm never going to find the Unbound Pro Cycling Stats page at this point. But, because if you go back to 2019 was Colin Strickland, 2020, did the race happen? And then it was like Colin, Ian Boswell maybe, and then Keegan won it twice in a row. Is that right? Right.
But he might be the only, and then Lachlan won it last year. Lachlan is a freak. Maybe other people could do what Lachlan does, but I just don't know if you can have sustained success over multiple years at races like this, would be my hot take.
A lot of variables in gravel racing at Unbound with the mechanicals. That's the X factor and why it's a very fun race to watch, believe it or not. And I actually was asking a top level gravel pro recently about something that I've observed in these lifetime races, which is they always have that UTV out there with the lead group. And the way that they shoot it with the iPhone, the UTV is often parallel to the athletes on the gravel road. And if you have a crosswind, I'm thinking that's a pretty substantial advantage.
Yeah, well, it's like at the Giro. Like if you watched that stage yesterday, Nico Denz attacks, and then Nico Denz is basically motor pacing the rest of the race. So yeah, it's good business to be out front in a race that has television coverage because you'll probably get a nice draft on the vehicle.
Yeah, in the women's race, Sophia is likely my choice. I was trying to see who else on here might have a shot. I'm going to go with Sophia. I think we've got a Sophia victory coming our way, and then we have a lot of past champions in the field as well. But, I'm going to go with Sophia.
I'm going to go someone that's not Sophia.
Okay.
But I don't know who's in the race.
Do you want to go with Sierra Sims from Hendersonville, North Carolina?
I don't know. I'm immediately suspicious. Wait, so last year, Maria Closer won. Is she doing it this year? She might be.
Yes.
Rosa Maria Closer. Yeah. I'm going that she's doubling up. That's what I'm going.
All right. I like it.
Heather Jackson. Fresh. I think it's just interesting. So the women's race last year, you had a winner 1 second ahead of a 6-rider group. Wow, I didn't realize it was that close. Interesting. So it could be wide open.
Yeah, could be wide open. I have to tell you, Spencer, I'm looking at a photo right now of Mathieu van der Poel with this soft cast on. It has a BOA dial on it. False flag.
False flag. False flag. BOA is branching out. I got kids' shoes with BOA on them.
Yeah.
BOA, good for you. There's actually, but if we're going to nitpick here, there's a French brand. It's like BOA, but instead of having to pull up, which is hard for kids on the shoes, you just turn it left and it releases it. So BOA better watch out. There's some
disruptors,
some competition coming. All right, Andrew, any other thoughts before we get going?
Just get your paint sticks out. Here we go.
Here we go. I mean, God, I seen that mud. I cannot believe people are going to race over it. It's going to be, whoever wins is going to be the person that's practiced running 100 miles in the mud, probably the most.
Yeah, I think you have to, if you do these events, you absolutely should be running, not for Primos reasons to get in a little exercise before you go out and race a Grand Tour or crash. You just need to be able to run because you're going to be running at some point. They definitely are not doing that in the European races I've watched, unless they have 800 people in the race and they go into single track 200 meters into the race, as happened at the World Championships in 2024.
It's a beautiful, beautiful discipline.
It's a beautiful sport.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Andrew. And
thank you, Spencer.
Next week.